Welcome to the Season of Self-Love podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks, and I am thrilled to have you join me on this transformative journey. You see, every day we dive into a powerful conversation about self-discovery, healing, and empowerment. This podcast is brought to you by Ask Nyomi and Elevate Me Self-Discovery, where we believe that loving yourself is the first step to living a fulfilling life. You can expect insightful discussions, practical tips, and inspiring stories. Plus, we'll occasionally welcome special guests who will share their unique perspectives on self-love and personal growth. So get comfy, grab your favorite beverage, and let's embark on this journey together. Because it's time to embrace the beautiful person that you are. So let's elevate our lives one episode at a time. Now let's get started. All right, my beautiful people. Well, welcome to Threshold Thursday here on the Season of Self-Love podcast. I am your host, Nyomi Banks, and I am so very grateful that you are joining me here today as we continue our powerful April series on mindful and presence. You know, this month is all about being fully present in our lives, learning to experience each moment with awareness, intention, and love. And today we're exploring a fascinating intersection on how mindfulness connects with legacy building. Well, yesterday we had an incredible conversation with Oscar Vasquez about estate planning as an act of self-love. And today we're going to expand on that wisdom by talking about how being present allows us to create a meaningful legacy moment by moment. But before we dive deeper into today's topic, let's take a quick break, all right? It's your girl, the goddess Nyomi Banks here on this Season of Self-Love podcast, and we'll be right back.
Ready to transform how you think about love and mental health? This May, join host Nyomi Banks and Dr. Will Washington and expert guests on Love and Mental Health, a powerful 4-part series exploring relationships through the lens of mental wellness. Every Thursday at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on Ask Nyomi, Bridging the Gap. Do you have a story to share? Your experience matters. Email us at asknyomi@gmail.com and be part of the conversation that's changing lives.
All right, my beautiful people, welcome back. But before we dive deeper in today's topic, let's ground ourselves with our 4-4-6 breathing practice that Dr. Will share with us this week. This will help us to arrive fully in this moment together, all right? So if you are able to, I invite you to close your eyes and just bring your awareness to your breath. Now let's breathe in through our noses for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Now hold your breath for a count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And exhale slowly through your mouth for a count of 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's do that once more together. Inhale through your nose. 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold. 4, 3, 2, 1. Exhale through your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I want you to feel how this breath brings you fully into the present moment, where all your powers exist. Now, as you continue breathing naturally, I want you to bring your awareness to the concept of legacy. What does it mean to leave a legacy? And how are you creating your legacy in this very moment with each breath, each choice, and each interaction? Take one more deep breath in. And as you exhale, I want you to bring this awareness of your present moment, legacy with you, until our conversation today, all right? And when you are ready, gently open your eyes. All right, my beautiful people, if you are new here to the Season of Self-Love podcast, it's something we do every day, Monday through Friday. Just to help ground us before we get into the topic at hand. All right, so on Monday, Dr. Will talked about how breath work helps us to come back to ourselves and find stillness in our bodies, right? Well, he said something that really resonated with me. He said, breath invites that invitation of discomfort, that conversation of discomfort that you may be experienced, that you may have not brought forth to yourself. And that's what legacy building is really about. Having those sometimes uncomfortable conversations with ourselves about what matters most and what we want to leave behind and how we want to be remembered. See, when most of us think about legacy, we think about what happens after we're gone, the wealth we leave behind, the stories people tell about us, the impact our lives had. But what I've been learning through our mindfulness journey is that legacy isn't just about the future. That is about how we show up right now in this moment. So on Tuesday, I talked about mindfulness in action, bringing the quality of presence and intention to everything that we do, whether we're washing dishes, having a conversation, or working on a project. And yesterday, Oscar Vasquez, he shared how estate planning is actually an act of self-love because it provides peace of mind now and care for our loved ones later. You see, with these conversations, they have shown me that mindfulness and legacy building are deeply connected. See, when we are fully present, we make choices that align with our values. We speak words that reflect our truth. We take actions that express our love. And all of these present moment choices, they become the building blocks of our legacy. So let me share something personal with you. So for years, I approached legacy building as something separate from my daily life, something that I'll be around someday, when I have more time, more resource, and even more clarity. But then my mother's dementia diagnosis has kind of changed everything for me. Watching her memories fade made me realize how precious each moment is and how our legacy is being created right now, whether we're conscious of it or not. So that's when I began to practice what I call a mindful legacy building, bringing full awareness to how my present choices are creating my future impact. I started asking myself, how does this decision, this conversation, this action contribute to the legacy that I want to leave? So what exactly does mindful legacy building look like in practice? And how do we connect our present awareness with our future impact? First, it starts off with clarity about your values. So when you are mindful, you become aware of what truly matters to you. Not what society tells you it should matter, but what resonates in your heart. Is it connection? Is it creativity? Is it service? Is it truth-telling? Is it healing? Is it love? See, when you know your core values, you have a compass for making legacy align choices in your present moment. And second, mindful legacy building means being attentive to the impact of everyday actions. So as I mentioned on Tuesday, mindfulness helps us to reclaim our time by bringing us back to the richness of each moment. But it also helps us to respond rather than react, creating space between simultaneous. It also helps us to respond rather than react, creating a space between stimulus and response. So in that space, we can consider, how does my response right now contribute to the legacy I want to leave? How does my response right now contribute to the legacy that I want to leave? Third, mindfulness legacy building. It involves taking intentional action that expresses your love and care for others, not just after you're gone, but right now. That's what Oscar was talking about yesterday, how estate planning is really about taking care of the people you love. But we can express that same care in countless present moments ways as well. So let me share 3 practices that can help you to connect mindfulness with legacy building. First, the value reflection. Take some time to identify your core values, the principles that matter most to you and that you want to be remembered for. Then each morning during your mindfulness practice, reflect on how you can express those values in your actions that day. And before bed, review on how well your actions align with your values. You see, this daily practice helps ensure that your present moments are building the legacy that you desire. And second, the mindful communication practice. So before important conversations, take a few mindful breaths and ask yourself, what impact do I want my words to have on this person and our relationship? This simple pause helps you to speak in ways that build the legacy that you want to leave in your relationships. So remember what I shared on Tuesday about heartful listening. That's a powerful way to create a legacy of making others feel seen and heard. And third, the legacy letter. Set aside time regularly, perhaps once a month, to write a letter to someone you love, expressing what they mean to you and what you learned from them and what you hope from them. You can share these letters now or leave them to be discovered later. Either way, the practice of writing them keeps you mindful of a relationship that are central to your legacy. And see, with these practices, it helps bridge the gap between present awareness and future impact. And they remind us of that our legacy isn't something that we create at the end of our lives. It's something that we're creating with each mindful moment. So I want to share another story with you all. Actually, my mother wrote me a mindful legacy letter, and I don't even think she honestly knew what she was writing, the legacy letter. And it was not too long after my grandmother, who passed away, who also had dementia. And I remember I didn't find that letter till later, but my mother had wrote it probably a couple of weeks after my grandmother had passed away. And in her letter, she had wrote, and I believe I shared this before, but in her letter, she had wrote that if she was ever to forget who I am, that I reintroduce myself to her. But not only that, she also said in the letter, apologizing to me, that if she was to treat me unfairly or be mean to me or any sort of that type, that to forgive her. She said, forgive me for I might not know of who I am. And then she just said of, how I love you. And she asked me to take care of my brother and sister, and to make sure that they were good. And I remember reading that letter. It had to be about maybe a year before she was diagnosed with dementia. And so that had to be about 6 or 7 years after she had written the letter that I found the letter. And it was so emotional, just reading the letter. But in that instance, I remember we were going through the first initial signs of the dementia for her. And I remember it was a struggle. It was a challenge. Because how do you tell someone that don't remember something that they said, something that they did, or something that you said to them that makes them feel out of place? But just in that moment at that time, just reading that letter, that brought me in that moment and like, okay, this is something that is truly is a realization of now that's happening in our lives. And even though she wasn't diagnosed just yet, I knew that that was a letter for me and for my siblings, that we have to take heed and understand is that what we might see in the next few years and now, moving forward, that's not what we want her to remember us by. I mean, she has a more stuff in the letter as well but this letter is what she wants us to remember her by. And so just thinking of that and then talking with Oscar yesterday, it definitely does bridge the gap, especially for me, not knowing, fast forward 2-3 years later, I'll be sitting on this platform on the season of self-love and sharing this with you all. You know what I mean? But for me, just this whole platform, just even just being in this month for mindfulness and presence, just me taking off that first week is it has been very beneficial for my journey. But my prayer is that even as I speak, even as Dr. Will come on and speak, and any other guests that I have on here that speak, is that you all are able to truly understand and resonate with this and use not all of the tools, but whatever tools that fit for you in this moment, right, in this time. So even the tools that I'm giving you right now for this legacy one, this might not be your time, or you're not even ready for this, but know that it's already in your tool cabinet. Does that make sense? Because if we have the right tools when it's needed, we can go back and get it. We can go back and get it. That's what I love about going on this journey of self-discovery, of understanding what tools and what values fit who you are today. Does that make sense? All right. So now I want to address something important also about the mindful legacy building. It isn't about being perfect or creating some idolized version of yourself for somebody to put you on a mantle or anything. It's about being authentic and acknowledging your humanity and choosing to grow through your mistakes. In fact, one of the most powerful legacy we can leave is an example of how we handle our imperfections. When we approach our missteps with mindfulness, observing them without judgment, learning from them, and choosing different actions going forward, we model resilience and growth for everyone around us. Just as I'm sitting here right now and I'm telling you about the letter that my mom wrote her, I bet if I go up there and tell her, you wrote a legacy letter to me. She's like, what are you talking about? But she had to let us know who she was, who she is. Now I say was, who she is, where her heart is in her values. And even in her imperfections that she had of us growing up, in that letter, she asked for forgiveness too. So again, having a legacy is not about being perfect. It's truly about how you handle your imperfections. So I'm going to share another story with you. I was in the shower a few days ago, and it was a flash that I had in my head, just a flash of my whole life. And you can never imagine that I spent about 10, 15 years of my life, if not a little longer, in the adult industry and connected to the adult industry. Even as I'm speaking to you now, I will always be connected to the adult industry, even in my coaching, even as me being a motivational speaker, even as me being whatever, that part of me will still be a part of my legacy. And I remember in the shower, and I had a down moment for a good 10 minutes. I'm not going to lie. And I'm like, what does that look like for me? What was that? What was that for me? What was that for my children? What was that for my grandchildren? And I went down that road. And then I came back. And I said, I'm going to write a letter to each one of my offsprings and those that are not here either as well. And let them know about my amazing journey and the choices that I made whether society agree with them or not, but also how I have grown through all of the choices and decisions that I've made, and how I've learned from them, and how they have become my tools. They've been my lessons for teachable moments. So for somebody else's imperfections, it has perfectly created me in who I am and built my amazing legacy. Because when you really sit down and you really open my book and you really look through it, I can sit here and say, well, goddamn, you did all of that and you still shining. Yeah. Yeah. You still shining. I just remember just standing in the shower that day. And it was just a flash, and why I can laugh right now, because I got to go back to what Dr. Willett said on Monday about the breath work. And I remember remembering that, I kid you not, I was like, it took my breath away, that it stumped me. And when I say 10 minutes, it did, because I had to do breath work. I had to bring it in, hold it for a moment, and let it out. Because it was the emotional for me. That was emotional time, just in that moment. Remember, we talk about a lot of things, what triggers, things come back in triggers. I'm just glad that I had the tools to be able to come out of that moment. Some people are not blessed to have that. And see, I can be real and authentic about some of the struggles that I have. Because guess what those struggles do? Those struggles make me uniquely wonderful. And to share them, this is what I call putting the cherry on the top of it. But all of that, it allows me to be my authentic self, to emerge and influence the world in ways that self-love, self-protective patterns might have prevented. These are things that I experienced it with my daughters, with my mother, with my sisters, with my family members. So when I make a mistake as a mother, maybe speaking too harshly or not being present when they needed me, I have a choice. I can either ignore it, move on, or I can practice mindfulness and acknowledge what happened or what's happening right now, and take the responsibility to apologize and choose differently next time. That's something that I truly love about going through this journey, through this self-discovery, because I am able to be accountable for my decisions that could have put another individual in an unfamiliar situation. But again, this is a part of my legacy. What's a part of yours? See, also what I found that the moments when I acknowledge my imperfections are often moments for strength. I bond the most. That teaching my daughters that vulnerability is strength, that growth is always possible, and that love can withstand mistakes. That's a legacy. That's a legacy that I am very proud to have built. But I'm not finished building. I'm continuing to build that legacy. And this brings us to another aspect of mindful legacy building. It's not just about what you leave for others, but also what you've experienced in your own life. When you live mindfully, aligning your actions with your values and expressing love in that present moment, you create a life of meaning, purpose, and fulfillment for yourself. So in other words, the legacy that you're building isn't just for those who remember you. It's also for you right now. That legacy that I'm building, this is for me right now. That as I say this, there is a big ass smile on my face. Because there is a peace, there is a connection, there is a joy that comes from me living my life intentionally. But also, these are gifts that we give ourselves in the present moment. So now quickly, I want to just share a practice that can help you tremendously in connecting mindfulness and legacy building. We're going to call this the legacy reflection. And it's going to help you bring awareness to how you present, how your present choices are shaping your legacy. I want you to find a quiet space where you won't be disturbed. And you'll need your journal in about 20 minutes. Yes, I said it, about 20 minutes. And I want you to center yourself with the 4-4-6 breathing practice we did earlier. And I want you to take at least 3 rounds of breath to become fully present. So I want you to do that 4-4-6 3 times. In step 2, I want you to write down 3 to 5 core values that you want to define your legacy. For each value, I want you to write a sentence, what it means to you personally. And then step 3. For each value, I want you to reflect on how you currently are expressing it in your daily life. Where are you aligned with this value? And where might there be gaps between that you value and how you're living? Okay, the next step, step 4. Now, for each value that you identify one specific action that you can take in the coming week to express it more fully. You can make these actions small, concrete, and achievable. So make these actions small, concrete, and achievable. And number 5, write a paragraph about how living these values consistently over time will contribute to the legacy you want to leave. And how would it impact the people you love, your community, and yourself? This reflection, it helps you to connect the dots between your present awareness and your future impact. It reminds you that your legacy isn't something that happens after you're gone. It's something that you're actively creating in each mindful moment. So as we begin to wrap up today's episode, I want to emphasize that mindful legacy building is a practice. It's not a destination. It's not about having everything figured out or creating some perfect plan for your life impact. It's about bringing awareness to how your present moment choices are shaping your legacy and gently guiding you to those choices that align with what matters to you the most. You see, yesterday, Oscar reminded us that planning for our legacy through estate planning, it provides peace of mind now. And I believe that's true. I believe that's true for all aspects of our legacy building. So when we're mindful about legacy, we are experiencing greater congruence between our values and our actions. That congruence brings a sense of integrity and purpose to our daily lives. And as Dr. Will taught us on Monday, the breath is always available as an anchor to bring us back to the present moment, where all our legacy building power exists. So tomorrow, my beautiful people, tomorrow is Freedom Friday, where we're exploring how mindfulness liberates us from the patterns and habits to keep us from disconnected from others and ourselves. We talk about how being fully present, allowing us to break free from autopilot and choose connections over isolation. So until then, I invite you to spend some time with the legacy reflection I shared and consider what values are most important to you and how you might express them more fully in your day. So remember, your legacy isn't just what you leave behind. It is how you are living right now. This is your girl, the goddess Nyomi Banks, here on the Season of Self-Love. And you all have an amazing day. Have a good one. Thank you for joining us on this journey of discovering and empowerment here at the Season of Self-Love podcast. Remember, embracing self-love is a continuous journey, and we're so glad to have you with us. So if you enjoyed today's episode, please leave us a review. And don't forget to join our community on Facebook at Season of Self-Love. Connect with like-minded individuals who are also on their self-love journey. Now, if you have any questions or topics that you'd like for us to explore, we love to hear from you. Email us at seasonofselflove@gmail.com and let your voice be heard. So until next time, take a moment for yourself today and remember, you are worthy of love, joy, and all the beautiful things that life has to offer.